hello, and welcome to the Life Strategy Show with your show host, Maxine Pearl Phillips. Tonight, we are in for a treat. But before we get started, Level Less is about success without levels. That's right, success without levels. It's important that you understand that you can be successful without climbing any levels. Level up, higher ground, being promoted. But what you do is you establish and define what success looks like for you. And then you reach those goals and you are successful. Here at Level, as we work with students in high school and college, as well as adults, the students we help to understand from their core, assess them with their abilities, enable them to choose the career that best suited for them in their strengths and their abilities. And then with adults, the same thing. Also, help you get promoted. If you're unemployed or underemployed, what job is best for you? Or even better yet, look for your assignment and don't look for a job. So that's what we do here at Level Less. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to talk to you about our guest tonight, Janet. Oh my gracious. Janet and we had, such a long conversation about 2 or 3 years ago. And that's when I was talking about diabetes because November is diabetes month. My first husband died from complications due to diabetes. I became an ambassador for the American Diabetes Association. We raised over $35,000. We walked and we ran, we did bikes for at least 8 years. But the most important thing is that we brought awareness to the silent killer. And it does not have to be. Because now what we practice is lifestyle changes. And Janet, my special guest, is going to be here today to talk about loving her family to life, the lifestyle changes that she and her family made. And we want to talk to her about the journey and the strategies that she put in place. So let's listen. Let's not waste any more time. Let's bring Janet on so Janet can share all of these great information. And shall I tell them? We're going to make bread toward the end of our conversation. So you need to get ready. Either write the recipe down or get your flour, your sugar, your water, your yeast and have in front of you. And Janet is going to take us through the process because the holidays are upon us and we can make bread and it's healthy bread at that. Now, healthy mean is made healthy, but you have to control how much you eat of the bread. That's the kid. That's the right, Janet. That's a determining factor.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. This is awesome. Thank you for having me on.
Well, you are so welcome, and thank you for coming on. I'm excited. And listen, we want to first talk about you, your mother, your wife, your career professional, your cook. I know it might not be the favorite thing you started out wanting to do, but look how you love doing it now. So why don't you give us just a little bit more background about Janet, the person?
Well, let's see. Like Maxine said, I'm a mom, a wife. I've been married for 27 years. We have three beautiful sons, ages 28, 25, and our baby, not a baby anymore. He's 15. And
Mhm.
so the journey to health started in 2009, 14 years ago, when Isaiah was one.
Wow, it's amazing because my journey started in 2008, 2009. It's like we have so much in common when it comes to the things that we've done in order to implement our lifestyle change. So, Janet, I know you said it started about when your son was one. So, what happened during that time that caused you to make a transformation in a sense?
Well, I was 33 years old and 75 pounds heavier than I am today. And I had three children and no energy. A husband who was also very overweight at that time, probably about 55 pounds overweight, struggling with type 2 diabetes, high blood
Mhm.
pressure. I also had high blood pressure. And at age 33, I already was diagnosed with severe arthritis on both of my knees from the excess amount of weight I was carrying. I just didn't feel good, Maxine. I felt terrible.
Wow. And so at what point did So were you ever diagnosed with the type 2 diabetic?
I wasn't diagnosed, but diabetes runs really heavy in both sides of our families. My husband's family, my family. I already had a baby sister who was born with type 1 diabetes, juvenile type 1 diabetes. My oldest sister was struggling with type 2 diabetes. I had a grandma who passed away by the time I started my health journey, an aunt who, I mean, it was so many people in our family who had either passed away or were struggling severely. And so I just didn't want to be the next statistic, basically.
I
I wanted to change.
Yeah, I can understand that because I remember when I was diagnosed with it, type 2, and here I am, the caretaker of my husband, right? He's sick, and I'm the
Mhm.
caretaker of him. And I'm on one sofa, he's on the other sofa sick, and I'm like, wait a minute, something is wrong with this picture. I'm supposed to be the caretaker, and go to the doctor, and sure enough, here I am, not taking care of myself because I was so busy taking care of my husband that I was diagnosed, and my A1C was just off the chart. I'm talking about like a 16.0. I mean, they told
Wow.
really they were ready to admit me to the hospital at that point because I could have gone into a diabetic coma. My organs could have shut down. There was so many things that could have happened. But yeah, I had to like take hold of it. I kicked diabetes in the ASS is what I did.
Come on, Maxine. That's good.
I know it. I know it. I know it. So talk to me a little bit about some of the strategies that you put in place once you found out about this diagnosis.
Well, I am thankful that my husband and I partnered together. We were both severely overweight, and we just leaned on each other to make it happen. And so, in the world of information today, I just started diving in and just getting more and more and more educated. And to be honest, I did end up having a weight loss surgery 14 years ago. And that was just a tool. I had a lap band surgery that
Okay.
actually failed. It failed because that wasn't actually I mean, for me in my journey, that probably wasn't the best thing, but it did start off something where I did become passionate that I wasn't going to let, that failure fail me. And I was going to continue to move forward with my health. And I just little by little, I didn't change everything overnight. It just every day made different changes. And, us women, once you start losing a little weight and you start liking to shop, and then shopping becomes a motivator, right?
Right.
Getting into a pair of jeans. So just, and honestly, my relationship with the Lord, as I connected, have fallen in love more with the Lord, right? God is about people and relationships. I learned to love myself. Most importantly, I did have to start with me so that I could get healthy. Once I started really focusing on me, I mean, I know as moms, we put everybody else first, and then there's nothing left. So I could no longer run with an empty cup. I had to be filled, uh, take care of me first, and learn how to eat better. And it's been 14 years of making so many changes and trying a little bit of everything, but I'm trying and I'm still trying. It's not
And
over, right?
that's right. That's right. And it's called a lifestyle change, and it's
Right.
constantly changing, and we're constantly transforming, and we're constantly finding new information and new ways to cook things and look for things and add things, take away things. I know one of the things that I ended up doing was eating for my body type. And once I started understanding how to do that, that's when my weight started coming off. Because I was no longer putting things in my body that my body could not process.
Learning how to read ingredients,
Oh
that was
yeah.
key. Learning the basics of portion control, portion sizes, reading the ingredients, how much sugar is in the foods and fats, and just it's a lot of educating, a lot of joining nutrition classes, whatever I could do to just learn. I was hungry to learn. And so when you want to do something and you really want to make it happen, and you put forth the effort to learn and educate yourself, little by little, the changes come. That doesn't happen overnight.
I love what you said. You said you had to do it for yourself first, and if mom does it, then many times it can lead over into the rest of the family if they're open. And I love the fact that you said that your husband and yourself, you partnered together. And so, my viewing audience, we drop platinum nuggets here. You already know what we do on the Level Up show. And so make sure that you're taking notes, make sure that once you take the notes, then reread the notes and implement the tips and techniques that we're sharing with you. And not only that, why don't you reach out to someone right now and tell them, hey, listen, they're talking about making lifestyle changes. Yes, it is diabetes month, don't get me wrong, but it's really a lifestyle change that goes beyond the month of November. This is something that Janet and I have put in place. I put in place in 2009 and 2008. Janet started in 2009. But look at here it is, 2023. So that lets you know that it's not overnight. You didn't get that way overnight. It's not going to be corrected overnight. It takes time and it takes patience and it takes understanding.
Absolutely.
So Janet, also share with us, okay, so you're on your journey, and how did your journey affect your family? Talk to me about that.
Well, it's interesting because, and last week, actually, in our women's group, this came up as I was helping lead a study where we're getting out of our heads. And mirror neurons, we are wired, and this is science, right? The
Right.
Lord is science. He's science. He made science. So mirror neurons, they say, is it's a wiring that God wired us with mirror neurons, and it's like the monkey see, monkey do, right?
Right.
When you do something, like you notice that people are, why do people copy me? Well, that's because God made us. He wired us for connection. So positive and positive. And so me just working on me, right? I wasn't going to force my husband to eat exactly like me. So as I was changing the pantry slowly, the kids want to try it. They want to taste it. They want to get to know it. And so slowly, little by little, the household was changing and I could start swapping, taking the health, making some swaps slowly and surely. But our families are watching us, and it wasn't just in my household directly. I have family members who've changed completely how they eat, and their pantries look completely different. So
Yeah.
monkey see, monkey do. That's a real thing. We're wired for making an impression. You start making changes. You go in the workplace, and their coworkers see you eating something. It smells good. They're like, "Oh, that's rice cauliflower. No
Mm-hmm.
way, that looks so good. Tell me about it." So basically,
I
so
know. I love it. I love it because my family was the same way. So it's so good to hear you say that as
yeah.
well. I never will forget the one Thanksgiving I cooked an entire organic Thanksgiving dinner. I
Oh,
did not mention to anyone what I was doing, what the ingredients were, or anything. And they ate the entire thing and they talked about how good it was and all of that. And I said, well, it's all organic. All organic. Oh, I'm like, but look look how it tasted. It was so natural and everything. And they said, well, Mom, yeah, you're right. We agree with you. So then they finally started, like you say, making that transition and started trying different things. So I know when we had a conversation earlier, you said, Ms. Maxine, I was not the kind of person who wanted to come home and cook. That was not something I looked forward to. But it's like now, it's like, wait a minute, what transformed? What happened? What made you fall in love with cooking?
well, I've always loved to, well, first of all, anybody that loves to eat should know how to cook. Amen.
They
I
should,
love
but
to
it's not
eat.
always the case.
I grew up in a home with great cooks. My mom is an awesome cook. My aunt, wonderful cook. But like when you come home from work, I'll be honest, I'd walk in some days slamming bags and being dreadful to get in that kitchen. This daggone husband can't get in there and cook, but he was working. So long story short, honestly, gratitude.
Mm,
Gratitude centered me because um the Bible says to give thanks in all circumstances.
right.
Well, this is God's will for you. And so I felt conviction. One day I was just like, you're so blessed to have a family to cook for, have a home you could come into. What a blessing. Just
Mhm.
finding gratitude in everything. And it just, the mindset shifts when you're thankful to have a husband to cook for. So many people want a husband. So many people want children to cook for, family to cook for.
Right.
So shifting my just being thankful to God. Honestly, the shift really happened in I've always been thankful, but 2020 really did something for me that it really changed my attitude with doing laundry. I'm so happy to fold this clothes I get is a privilege. I woke up. So gratitude has centered me a lot. It really has.
I love what you said, 2020. Not only you, but a lot of us were awakened in 2020.
Yeah, it's a little frozen.
I think my internet was a little.
Yeah, froze
I,
a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
were freezing there. That's why I
yeah,
popped
I
in
just I
and
think my
everything.
internet froze on us just for a moment. But anyway, so I'm back. So, but the main thing of what I was saying is that, yeah, 2020 caused us all to reevaluate what are our priorities in life. And that doesn't include work, it includes family, it includes our time, our free time, it includes our resources, our finances, it includes all of that. And so you're no different than what a lot of us experienced in 2019 and 2020 and going into 21,
Right.
and it truly has also made its way into 22 and 23. So from moving forward in life, I think we would never forget the impact that COVID has had on all of us.
Yes.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, please take heed that tomorrow is not promised, first of all. And secondly, take time for yourself. Carve out some time on your calendar
Yes.
and think about what is it that you need to do for you. These mental health days are so important. And also plan out your meals. So Janet is going to talk to us a little bit about how she had gone about in planning her meal and her meals for her family. So give us some tips or some strategies in that area, Janet.
So I chose one day a week that was reasonable for me to start it off with making lunches for my son who attends a private school. And so he doesn't have the option to just go in a lunchroom. It's either Grubhub or preparing his lunch. And I was
Right.
it was frustrating in the morning to do it. I would not only am dealing with him getting up and all that. So just picked out a day. And then I asked my son, what is it that you would like to eat consecutively that it would be easy where I'm not making 5 meals all at once? And so he's a creature of habit like his dad, thankfully. He could literally go on 4 of the same meals that he loved. And so he chose what he wanted and I made it in a healthy way. Sweet potatoes, those are easy. Cut them, prep them, roast them, veggies that he loves, everything that he loved, but in a healthy way. And so on Sundays, I prep now for him and his dad. And I just started prepping for me too, because I have to remember to put myself out there too. Found
Yeah.
myself last week where I had 8 meals and I was like, where's mine? Oh, but
Right.
enjoy making it for them. It's easier for me. In the morning, my son grabs and goes. And then from there, I started thinking of other strategies. Okay, so now I have meats defrosted ahead of time and I season them, put them in Ziploc bags, and I work with what I have in my kitchen. I literally open and I go, I mean, I don't do that right when I come home from work, but during the week, I'm taking notes of I have this, that. I'm going to use what I have first. The economy right now, right? Food prices,
Right.
inflation. I don't
Right.
have time to be running to 20 stores buying 20 ingredients. I'm working with what I have.
Right.
Uh, I'll open my fridge and I'll see all these veggies. It's time for soup. Can't let all these veggies go bad.
Right. Right.
And I get to making a soup. And now with Pinterest and YouTube and it's information overload. Let's use all that to come up with solutions and ideas. But start somewhere. Doesn't have to be like meal planning for 2 weeks. Start 2 3 days at a time and you just one thing leads to another. When you do, you continue to do, and your mind just starts, you realize I'm helping myself out by prepare meal planning. It's taking away stress in the morning, stress from yelling at my teenager. It just makes life a lot easier for me, honestly, for the whole family.
And I always say, and it also helps with the financial side of it as well, because you're not spending money to eat out. You're using what you've already spent the money on, and it's stretched. Now you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then and then once you cook dinner, if there's some leftovers, then you have lunch for the next day. Yeah, so I agree with that. So that's one of the strategies that I've always used. I mean, even before I had the the diabetes problem, I used it when I lived in Chicago because what the wintertime I had to prep for the winter.
Oh yeah.
There was no going out once it snowed, so
Oh,
you had
for
to be
real.
ready. Yeah, so I like that. So how did your family adjust to you prepping to this? And I know you said that your husband and you partner, but how did you get your son on board to go along with the way that you had started preparing the food and you all are eating?
So my teenage son, so I have three sons, two of which are adults and no longer home, but my
Right,
teenage son has lost 72 pounds in the last 2 years, year and a half. He too was looking for his own niche and learning from me. And I believe that him learning from me, he's just took it his own, and just copying
right,
me, he's developed his own way of eating. And so as a family, we just support one another. He started off being vegan and I supported him. Then he went to no carb, low carb, keto, and we just experimented with what worked as a family. And being on board, honestly, all three of us, it's just my husband and I and Isaiah. We just are constantly like, taste this, do that. He's like, Mom, try this recipe. And I'm his biggest fan. So of course I'm gonna Google it and figure it out, and we're gonna do it together. And it is in this kitchen that me and my teenager have opened up about so many conversations that probably would never take place. So it's pretty interesting.
well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I trust that you're writing these nuggets down. Uh, Food prep to figure out what day of the week work for you. Use what you have and do it now. It's not something you have to wait to do. And also look at the communication openness, and being able to talk about it and engage and you supporting each other. So it's a lifestyle. It's for lifestyle for the family. I love the fact that you say loving your family to life. That is the name of the theme of tonight. And you're showing us exactly what you've done. Now, you talked about your son losing weight, but you also, this lifestyle journey has helped your husband. So
Yeah.
share with that part of it.
So my husband is a type 2 diabetic. His A1C, like you, Maxine, was up there. It was in the 11 range. And like I said, monkey see, monkey do. He's one of my biggest, he is my biggest encourager. He's my best friend. And so we both, he doesn't really like veggies. So I worked with him on what he like. Again, this is not forcing what I do on anybody in this house. It's basically encouraging a better way to eat, a better way to do things according to how they like things. So my husband's A1C, and he leans more towards low carb lifestyle, and that's really what we all try to follow. Not We did the keto thing that worked really good for him, but low carb really works for him. And so just incorporating those good carbohydrates that he loves, in balance and in moderation. His A1C today is right at about a 5.9, and he's been off of his diabetic medication now for, wow, I want to say 7 years, 7, 8 years. And, encouraging our husbands and sons and brothers to go to the doctor and not be afraid. We love, I mean, he's the kind of man that literally is looking at his lab work with me. We literally can't wait for our lab work to come back. And and there are times his A1C is a little higher. Hey, this is a journey. We have had a little setbacks. This hasn't been like a perfect 14-year journey. And so having that accountability of seeing those labs that don't lie, when that A1C starts climbing up, the Laurent household got to shape up. What are we doing now? What do we need to do different?
Right.
We can't go back to the metformin. We have to stay off of those drugs.
That's
So
right. I
yeah,
agree with that 100%. And I want to make sure that the audience understand we are not professing to be doctors.
no,
Let's put the disclaimer out there. What we're sharing with you is what has worked and helped us individually, myself and now Janet and her family. We do know that when you make that lifestyle change and you understand how your body is reacting to the foods that you eat, then you can take control of your A1C. And an A1C is the average reading in a 2 to 3 month period of the blood glucose levels. That's the sugar in the blood. And so there is a test that you can do. Can Sometimes they can send it to you at home, or as majority of the time you take it at the doctor's office. They
Mm.
take the blood, they send it out, and they have it, looked read, and then they can tell you what your A1C is. I love what you said, Janet, is about carbs. And one of the things that I had to understand when I first started this journey is I had to understand how many carbs my body could handle in any given meal. And once I understood that, then I started making the food exchanges. Like you say, some vegetables are carb vegetables, and then bread and crackers and cakes, that's a carb, and anything with sugar loaded, that's a carb. But you also have some of your vegetables, like carrots is considered a vegetable carb. So you have things like that that you have to take a look at. So how are you balancing out your meal prep, your meals itself? Because I know you said low carbs. So how are you balancing that out when you are preparing those during the week?
So we swap. We love white rice. This is a Caribbean household, but we know we cannot have white rice every single day for every single meal. So
Right.
I make quinoa as a better alternative in moderation. And so rice cauliflower, we use that a lot in meal prepping. Just making sure that I have ingredients that make sense to what we all like, and that I don't want to be cooking 4 different meals. I want to cook what
Right.
everybody is going to enjoy. And so I constantly have on stock what we all like as a family. And so just always having on hand, frozen veggies. I don't always have fresh because those go bad really easily. But yeah,
Right.
just being conscious about, ahead of time before you hit the grocery store. Have in mind, have a list of what you need to buy. Don't go in
Yeah.
there starving. Don't go to Wegmans hungry, y'all. I've made that mistake too many times.
Yes, I agree with you. Always have your list,
Mhm.
and if you have your list, try to have it broken down in the meats, in the dairy, in the fruits, and then let's face it, your packaged products in the middle of the store are your products that's going to probably be full of sodium, preservatives, and high carbs. So just be aware of that when you go in those center aisles. Your exterior aisles are going to be more of your protein, vegetables, and dairy. So just kind of way to look at how are the stores laid out. Usually that's pretty much the parameter of a store
And basically having your menu. I can't go to the grocery store without having in mind what is it that I'm going to cook for the week.
for the week. I agree.
For the
I love
week.
that. Yeah, for the
And
week.
look at 2 months in advance like that. Now there's some items that I constantly have on stock. I have my olive oils, my coconut oils, my avocado oils on stock, my Himalayan pink salt. I like to cook
Salt.
with really good quality ingredients. And so I strategize. I got to go to Aldi's for this. I got to go to Trader Joe's for that. Um, and I love going in the grocery store. I'm weird like that, y'all. I really do enjoy it. I'm
That's
weird like
okay.
that. And
That's
everybody
okay.
likes the grocery store. Kind of like it a little too much. So I definitely
Uh,
walk with my menu so that I know, okay, I make my menu. And so then I look at what ingredients I already have and what ingredients I need. So I'm not overly spending, because that's really easy to do when you do like to cook and you are a foodie, and I am a foodie.
yeah, yeah. And spices are so essential.
Yeah,
And I love, yeah, like you say, the quality of the food, and also your spices can also dress your food up and make the palate
yeah.
appreciate the food. And the other thing, Janet, I'm not sure it's like this for you too, is once I started eating that healthy lifestyle, my palate's totally changed. I mean, organic foods are much sweeter. They're much true to taste, and I can immediately tell if I'm eating something that's not organic or is artificial. My taste buds immediately just ping, like, oh no, you don't need that. You're not gonna want that. don't ingest that. So it's one of those deals. And sometimes it's hard for people when I go out. It's hard for me to go to restaurants because I have to ask several questions or look at the menu before going. And that's another tip, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Go to the restaurant menu and look at it ahead of time so you know what you can order at that particular restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. And don't be afraid to ask questions and ask for substitutions without being a diva, okay? We got to be nice to our wait staff and people that are preparing our food, but this is your health and you own what goes in your body. You decide. But if you look at it like Maxine said ahead of time, then you can make an informed decision if that's the right place for you to
Yeah.
dine.
And it's so, even though this month is diabetes month, but we have the holidays upon us. You got Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, you have New Year's. So you have all of these holidays, and that we're going to be cooking and eating and enjoying festivities with family. And the portion control is so essential. You still have to maintain the portion control. And one of the things that I learned, especially during the holidays, is do not get one of the big plates. Get, a dessert plate, your
Exactly.
main plate. And then that way it's not going to hold a whole lot of, it's just a little of everything that you can sample that you want to sample. And then it helps you with the portion control.
Most definitely. Great
Have you
tip.
tried that, or is there anything else that you would like to suggest that would help them
Yeah.
with the portion control?
Well, we are human, and so saying no and depriving yourself is not the key. The key is to be in balance and not go overboard because you will be feeling horrible, especially when you're used to eating healthy. You will not feel good. And the holidays go by fast, and before you know it, the spring and the summer are here. So don't overindulge while the weather is cold, which is easy to do. But enjoy your family, enjoy eating. Like I love baking bread. I bake bread and then I give most of it away.
Yeah,
I can't keep
I,
it in the
yeah,
house. I'd eat
I
it all.
know.
Right?
I do the same thing. I do homemade sourdough rolls, pound cakes, apple pies, and
Mm.
carrot muffins. And I can't tell you how many of those I did for last Thanksgiving and Christmas. I had my entire counter, the table, and everything just full. And I didn't keep a one for myself. I gave them all away. They were gifts.
Yeah,
Gifts of gratitude, like what you talked about. People help you during the year, and this was my way of showing them I appreciated them, and not to feed them and get them unhealthy, because everything I made was pretty much healthy, organic, but it still was in portion control.
exactly.
You just mentioned bread. And so we're at the half hour mark. So I think what we'd like to do is just to make sure that we have enough time and we're not rushing through. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have your apron, get your apron out, get your flour, your yeast, your water, the sugar that's got a little sugar that's going to go in the bread, and let's make some bread. You might not be able, you're not gonna be able to bake it. We're not gonna be able to finish the whole thing tonight, but we will post the recipe so that you can move forward and complete it, and then share with us how it turned out. We want to know. We want to hear from you what you thought of it, how it tastes, and what did your family think.
Oh, they always
And then
love.
next time, make it a family affair and do it together.
That's right.
All right, so Janet, I'm going to turn it over to you. So what are you going to share with us first?
So I'm gonna share a very basic, and this is not a low carb bread recipe. This is simply a bread recipe, and it's called pan de agua. Pan de agua, and this is a Puerto Rican recipe. Bread, pan is bread in Spanish, and agua is water. So it's a water bread. It's a very basic. What I have in my mixer, and you can take down the recipe, is 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I prefer the King Arthur name brand because it's high in protein, and the protein with the gluten, you can look it up. There's science behind that. And then I have in the flour, I have put a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt. Of course, you can use any salt of your liking.
Okay.
And my yeast has exploded because it's been a while. Um, what I like to start off when I bake my bread is 3 cups of lukewarm water.
That's the
Yeah,
pink
that's right.
Himalayan salt.
So 3 cups of lukewarm water, and to that lukewarm water, I put in the 3 tablespoons of active Fletcherman's instant dry yeast, and and 2 tablespoons of sugar to activate it. Now mine's is really activated. Usually you wait about 10 minutes, but I started so ahead of time.
That's
I
okay. We talked about 20 minutes. So
So that's your starter, 3 cups of water, lukewarm water. like I said, the 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of your yeast, and 1 teaspoon of salt in your flour. Now you can add to your flour, you can get creative. You can throw a little garlic powder, you can throw spices. I've done that, or you could be as basic as just salt. You can experiment. And to the mixer, which you don't have to have a stand mixer, you can do this by hand. I started off doing bread by hand for a long time, and there was no difference in the quality. I have 3 cups, actually 4 cups of all-purpose flour. But honestly, if you start off with 3 cups of water, you can go between 3 to 4 cups of flour, and
Mm-hmm.
you reserve 1 cup, because as you add the water to the flour, and it gets a little too sticky, depending on your environment, right? How cold or hot your home is, you may need to adjust and add a little bit more flour. So yeah, let me throw my little explosive yeast. Look at that, it's all the way to the top. So what I'm gonna do now is turn my mixer on a low setting, a 2, and then I have my scraper, and I'm adding, taking the my scraper and pushing the flour down to the side, and then I'm pouring my water towards the edge.
Okay.
And I continue to do that until my flour comes together to a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it slowly. I don't go fast, because I don't, like I said, your environment is, the amount of water is going to depend on your environment. And today, it was a little warm. It could be a little chilly. So it's not always that you're just going to pour all your water. You have to look to see if it's coming together.
Okay.
And so I'm going to keep pouring until I get my mixture to come together. And if it's a little too wet, then you can add a little flour until it is well combined into a ball. You're looking for a ball, and where you can see that all of the flour is
Right.
not stuck anymore to the mixer. So I'm gonna turn off and scrape. I have a ball formed, and gonna push it up here. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna get it out of here. And of course, make sure your hands and your surfaces are very clean when you
Right.
bake, because the flour is sticky. So here I have my ball.
Excellent.
A little sticky, and all I do is add a little flour just to bring it all together. I'm gonna make this quick for the sake of time. And I like to finish off with my hands. And when I have my ball formed nicely, usually a little prettier than this, but I have to the side a bowl that I have sprayed a little bit of
Oil.
spray,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever you want to use for nonstick, and I'm going to put it in the bowl, and I'm going to cover it. You could do a warm terry cloth towel. I'm going to take a bag and cover it. And I'm going to give you a tip that I learned from my niece, who's a chef, because the thing about bacon is patience. See, that
Okay.
wasn't hard at all. The waiting is the process.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I cover this, because it needs to be in a nice warm, it needs to, poof. And I'm going to set my microwave for 2 minutes. I'm not going to put this in the microwave for 2 minutes. I'm going to set my microwave for 2 minutes, let it run, open my microwave, and I'm going to put this in the microwave for 60 minutes. And it's going to be in a nice warm environment. So you can either put it in the microwave, or make sure you put it in an area, even in your oven, off
Mm-hmm.
for 60 minutes. When the 60 minutes are up, I'm going to form it again, and it's gonna rise up really beautifully. And then I'm gonna cut it in 4 to make 4 loaves. But you can decide to make little rolls. You can do whatever you want. Then you want to roll it out and then form. So let me say that again. You're going to section out what you're gonna do, whether it's 4 rolls or 4 loaves or rolls. Then you want to roll them out, form them how you want, and again, place them in the baking dish that you're going to use, stoneware, cover it for 25 minutes, let it proof again, have your oven on 350, preheating, stick it in the oven. 25 minutes later, your home is going to smell divine.
I
Delicious.
smell it already. Just in my mind.
Good.
I love the fact that you said the microwave, let it run for 2 minutes
Yeah.
without the bread in it, without the dough in it.
Yeah, don't put the
Don't let
don't put the dough in the microwave.
in the microwave, because the microwave is nice and warm, and that will enable the dough to double in size.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
Excellent.
that was from my niece who's a chef. And
Yeah,
she
that's
gave me
nice.
that tip, so I'm giving you that for free.
Yeah, I know that's right. And the recipe, ladies and gentlemen. I have a tendency to put the oven on 200 and then let it warm up and then turn it off and then put the bread in there, the yeast rolls, and let the yeast rolls rise. Because then if you want to do it faster, that's just a quick way of doing it too. I love it. I love it. Now, sugar, did you put any sugar in it?
Sugar was in the water, but you
Okay.
can put sugar. So I don't. This is a pan de agua, so it doesn't lean on the sweet side. It's more savory.
Good.
But you could make. We in Puerto Rico they do this bread called pan sobao, and that one is sweet. And so I have put a cup of sugar in the flour when I want a sweet
Mhm.
bread. But to activate the yeast, I do 2 tablespoons of sugar
Yeah.
and warm water to get that yeast nice and bubbly. And again, if you wanted to add more sugar, I try to keep sugar
Yeah.
really low because bread is sugary as it is. You know,
Yeah.
it's a high, fast.
Yeah.
Well, you know how to explain that better than me.
But Marty just joined us, and she said, that's not Marty. Anaiya.
That's my niece. It looks like Anaya, and they're
Anaya.
constantly eating all my bread up. I feed them, give it away, and so yeah,
Yeah,
she'll
she said
come.
she's coming to get a piece.
She will.
She said that yeast. We have another one saying the yeast is amazing. I don't want to mispronounce your name, so I don't want to.
That looks like Annalita. That's my niece. She's the chef.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have Annalita on too, so she can cook for us.
She's an amazing cook. She will do so. Oh, she's so good at what she does. Amazing cook.
Well, we're always about healthy eating, lifestyle changes, and how do we change out our ingredients. And that's one of the things that I had to learn along the way, that especially like for macaroni and cheese. I mean, I had to get away from the wheat. And so what could I have instead of wheat noodles? I ended up doing rice brown noodles.
Yes,
So in order to get the macaroni and cheese, so I still could have my macaroni and cheese. I just didn't have to have the gluten with it.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I had to and then I have right now and I end up making my own salad dressings as well, because I can't eat the salad dressings from the store unless it's organic, So I make my own salad dressings. That way I know what's in it.
Yeah, in a Puerto Rican household, we grew up without dressings. I really didn't know what was ranch till I moved down south.
Mhm.
And it was always keeping it simple the way our grandparents taught us, which was olive oil, lemon juice, salt and pepper. And there goes a salad dressing, just like that. That's simple. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, there's so many ways of not going with the jar stuff.
Yeah. And I put sometimes I use lemon, sometimes I use
Yeah.
strawberry
Mm-hmm.
vinegar, and lemon, and then just a little of not honey, but maybe maple syrup.
That's
Just to get just a little tin, not sweet, but just take off that little twang to it. And-
acidity, balance.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Ananaya said, "Face blue, droopy eyes." What's that? Face blue, droopy eyes.
I have
Okay.
no clue. She's 12, so she's just having fun.
Oh, maybe she's droopy eyes. Maybe it's time for bed. We're an hour behind, right? So it should be 8:43 instead of
Oh,
7:40.
for real.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next for you? What's going on next for you? What do you have in the pipeline? What do you like? What do you see yourself doing?
Well, my short term goal right now is 7 years to early retirement, hopefully. And so this is what I'm passionate about. And so I am praying to the Lord to continue to open up avenues of letting this be my next journey in my career, because I don't really plan on retiring if I stay in good health. I don't for me that's not the goal. The goal is to move into what I really really love to do and what I'm really really passionate about in my next adventure.
Right,
So
right.
that's where I'm at, and of course I'll be partnering with you because we've got a lot to talk about, Maxine.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see us coming to visit you in a city near you as we talk about taking control of your diabetes, but it's more about a healthy lifestyle. How do you transform into that healthy lifestyle without giving up all the things that you love to eat? Because that's not what we did. We did not give up what we love to eat. We modified how we cook them and the ingredients that we use, and therefore you still get a chance to enjoy what you have that the palate for, opposed to feeling like you being deprived. Because when that happens, you're not going to stick with it.
Not at
And the
all.
other thing we want to leave with you is to talk about water. It's important that you drink the water, that you stay hydrated. And it's also important that you drink water that does not have a lot of ingredients in it, because that's not good for you either. Many times we don't read the ingredients in the foods or the liquids that we're intaking. And believe it or not, many waters have a lot of different ingredients. And you have to take that into consideration as a person, period, but especially as a diabetic. And make sure that there's not some ingredients in it that's going to harm you or going to keep your pancreas from working. So, have you experienced anything with the different waters yourself, Janet?
I keep a simple filter. I don't even buy water bottles anymore. Filter, a good filter, continuously changing the filters in my
Mhm.
home. I'm sure there's a lot more I could do that's better because there's still so much we don't know. Um, they're saying now fluoride is really bad for you. So I don't know.
I like the fact that you said the filters in your home, and many times, like I buy organic marinara sauce for my lasagna or my spaghetti. And those jars are mason jars, which are some of the well known quality jars.
Right.
I turn those jars into drinking containers. And if I want to put water in it, I have the top that goes with it and I have the container. And therefore, it's healthy for me. And
Right.
so it's something to take into consideration that when you leave your home, you can take a glass of water and use a glass bottle. Be careful about using plastic bottles all the time.
Yeah, the
So all that,
BPA free, that's very important, especially with microwaves. And yeah, most recently, I swapped out the seasoning that I've been using in for years and years because it has an artificial food dye that apparently, if you do the research, red number 40 and yellow number fives, how much neurological effects it's causing
yeah,
in children. And there's so much more to explore in those, in these arenas with the food industry. But
yeah.
stay informed by people. There's Google, there's research, there's the internet. Use it for good.
And there's us.
And there's us. And there's us that don't mind doing the research.
I know that we played the guinea pigs on ourselves. And one of the things that when I'm doing my type 2 diabetes accountability coaching, I tell my clients, know your body better than your doctor.
Oh yes.
I know it sounds negative, but it really is not negative. It is not meant to be negative. It doesn't mean that you don't go to your doctor, but when you go to your doctor, you go informed. You go with questions, you go with symptoms, you go with what you've experienced. And therefore, you're telling your doctor directly on how you are feeling, what you have seen, what you have overcome. When you ate this is what happened. And so, I had to do that with the preservatives because I'm allergic to preservatives, and they kept saying I had allergies. Well, I don't have allergies. I'm allergic to preservatives. I mean, and there's all types of preservatives in foods. And I had to understand what did those preservatives look like because they're camouflaged in different names when it's not the original ingredient.
That's
And
right.
so yeah, and so that'll be another show.
Journaling, right? You're heavy on journaling, your
Yeah,
diet. I
yeah.
forgot to mention that the key thing is that I do log on most days what I, especially in the beginning of losing weight,
Mhm.
journaling and using my Fitness Pal to get a reality check of what I was eating. And then you mentioned allergies. It's important to write what you eat every day. And then when you have those flares, you can go back and say, oh, what I have a trend going on. Every time I eat gluten, every time I eat wheat, I get sick, I get inflamed. And so that
And
leads to
yeah.
conversations with your doctor and lifestyle changes as well.
And that's what happened with me when I started getting sick, and the doctors couldn't determine why I was becoming ill. And because I kept a food journal, I was able to start pinpointing exactly what it was. And it led down to the number one ingredient was MSG,
Mm,
monosodium and glutamate. That was the number one culprit for me. And from there, there's so many things that's labeled that really is a camouflage of MSG. And I had to learn all of that and start weaning my body away from it in order for me to become well. Yeah. Because I mean, I was sick for like a year and a half, not knowing what was going on,
mm.
stroke on. It was just that bad. But listen, I know we're coming to a close. I know we're getting closer. Is there anything else what strategies would, okay, the last thing, let me ask you this thing before. There's one question I love to ask. What would you tell your 17-year-old self now based on what you know?
To be kind to myself, to be kind to myself, that it's okay, that little by little you'll get there. And honestly, number one thing I wish I would have had was a relationship with the Lord. That builds
Mm,
discernment, and without discernment, it's tough to navigate life. So make a relationship with the Lord, more than just, yes, I believe in going to church, but a relationship, a real relationship with God. And to be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You're kind to others. Why are you so harsh on you? Be
oh,
kind
that is
to you.
so good. Be kind to yourself. And you're right. And carve out that time for yourself on your calendar. Make an appointment with yourself, for yourself, about yourself. And then journal also, so that because journaling really saved my life. I mean, saved my life from the medical side, but also journaling, it can be therapeutic. It can be so comforting. And journaling can turn into a book, into a movie, into your memoir. You can leave a legacy for your family through the journaling. So there's so many different things that you can do in journaling. And you don't have to go out and purchase an expensive journal in order to journal. I never will forget my mother at 86. I gave her an album of her 85th birthday, and she turned around and gave me a spiral notebook. And in
Wow.
that spiral notebook, she had journaled about every single one of us children. And there were 13 pregnancies. And she journaled about every single one of them from the time she got pregnant to the time she delivered it, and the prayers that she had for us. And I mean, I just wept because I took that and I converted it into an actual book for her. And
Wow.
she was able to see that book. Probably I had it completed maybe 2 or 3 months before she actually left this earth. And so you just never know where that journal is going to end up, or that documentation that you have, who can use it and how it can be used. And I'm all about living your legacy. Live your legacy while you can. Again, tomorrow is not promised. And
Mm.
we are here on the holidays. Don't be alone. You don't have to be alone. Call neighbors, call friends, call your coworkers, be around them. Please do not be alone during the holidays, because sometimes holidays can be so stressful and you miss your loved ones so much. So for that mental health, let's make sure that we love each other, we help each other, we surround ourselves with one another. And so that's just what life is all about, is us helping each other.
Amen to that, Maxine. And invite somebody over for the holidays. Invite those people that don't have family locally.
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
It's very, very, very important. All right. So we have just a few more minutes. Are there any other strategies that you think you'd like to share along the way, or something that maybe popped into your spirit, or maybe just something you just want to share with the viewing audience?
I just lost you for a moment. I don't know with my flower hands. I guess it's a no. Can you
Okay.
hear me okay?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I actually, you just ignited something in my spirit when you talked about journaling. I need to get all these recipes documented on paper for my sons. That's
Yeah.
important. That's leaving a legacy, right? I sometimes wish I could just open a notebook and read some of my grandparents' recipes. Don't have them, but I can be different. I can do that for my children and grandchildren, future grandchildren. Don't have any now.
That's all right. You say future. That's right.
Future, I'm claiming it.
That's right. I'm there with you. And the thing about it is transforming generations, because what you've done with your sons, is the fact that he's eating healthy. So that's gonna transform over into his family. Should he decide to marry and have children and so forth, or the people that he surrounds himself with, he can still be an influencer that way.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
being a teenager, oh my gracious, just think of the domino effect on the other kids that he's around, or the other young men and young women that he's around, and they're seeing him eating healthy, and the transformation that he's already made. You talked about over a 2-year period.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. The other thing we'd like to do, maybe Janet, come back on and please be my guest again, an open invitation, and let's show some pictures. Because many times we have visual learners, and some people like to say, okay, not what you look like, but where you came from,
Yeah.
where
I
you
like that.
started versus where you are, and how the transformation goes. I mean, I'm 7 dress sizes less, than when I started, on this journey, like what you said. So it's hard to see, a lot of people like, no, you wasn't that size. I'm like, yeah, I was, I carried it and I had to wear it and I had to deal with it. But it's freeing when you do eliminate a lot of that from your body. You don't have all that stress on your body, and you still can fluctuate. It still can fluctuate because you have the holidays, you have sometimes stressful situations that's going on in your life. But remember, you're still in control.
That's right.
At the end of the day, you are the one that's in control.
Amen to that.
All right. Well, thanks again for this. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And I trust you will come back and be with us and share us some more recipes. And when you get that recipe book ready, we're going to be able to bring you back on so that you can share with the world. Now, here at the Levelist Show, the Life Strategy Show, we are in 200 countries. Yes, we are aired to 200 countries. We're on Pod TV. We're on Roku. We're on Amazon Live, and we're on Spotify. So the sky is not the limit on who will see this episode that we're talking about. Is taking control of your life and loving your family to life. I love that.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this evening. Thank you for being with us. Janet, again, thanks. I love having you here, and thanks so much for being
here. Thank you, Maxine.
And as I close tonight, remember, I believe in you, and I trust you believe in yourself. So meet me back here next week, same time, same place, but bring a friend with you. Take care. Have a great evening. Taking a chance.